So, good morning. I wanted to check in with you because I've been writing and talking about menstrual cycle awareness and how we work with our cycle, and mostly from an Ayurvedic perspective. Those of you on my newsletter in the past month, you had links to some videos, and the last, I guess, 2 or 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I sent some links to yoga videos, which are on my online course, the Feminine Cycle and Seasons course. And in Ayurveda, everything is cyclical. So we work with the actual seasons, so summer, autumn, winter, spring, and how things change with the seasons. And we also work and acknowledge that things change in a 24-hour cycle, as well as the whole month. So obviously for women, the monthly cycle is a big shift. And we know that from Western science, because not only do we actually have our period once a month or every 29 days or a little bit longer, shorter, but actually really what I think is interesting with the menstrual cycle awareness is that we don't just talk about, we have our period, because sometimes that's the only thing we think about, but there's so many other things that are happening through the month. We ovulate, which is maybe something you only think about if you want to conceive, or if you have practice fertility awareness and you don't want to conceive. But throughout the month, hormones are changing, and that affects us physically, emotionally, mentally. And from an Ayurvedic perspective, again, we can correlate those two parts. So say if when we had our period, we release the endometrium lining, a part of it, and with that, the capillaries break, so we have our menstrual blood. But after that, everything needs to be built up again. Anything that's building in Ayurvedic, from an Ayurvedic perspective, is kapha-like, so kapha dosha increases. Now, kapha dosha is that stability, the strength, the support. It keeps us grounded. It's our juiciness. It's also mucus. But it's all that support that builds us up. And very balanced, it's that love. It's a mother, the kind of the goddess, the Mother Earth, and that keeps building up. And then we obviously have ovulation, which is where potentially we can conceive, if not conceiving a pregnancy from an energetic perspective, we can conceive whatever ideas or potentials that we have inside. So this is this magical time around ovulation. So from a Western perspective, this is actually also what's happening, but the hormone, instead of kapha dosha, we talk about estrogen building up. And estrogen is the hormone that builds up, it strengthens us. It also makes us feel more confident, more outgoing, more self-aware, or in a positive space. So estrogen is like a positive hormone. Sometimes I've read somewhere, and I don't remember who's saying this, but someone said it's like Beyonce hormone. It's like that beautiful goddess-like, I am who I am, and I feel so confident. And that's that estrogen. And it's kapha. So now if we know these things, we can really work that to our advantage. We're not like that the whole month. We need to go to the other side as well to feel that everything is opposites. But when we know we have those qualities in our follicular cycle and around ovulation, we can use that to our advantage. So this might be where that you, in your diary, have your meetings, do your presentations, do your launch, do your projects. Maybe it's where you feel really strong and powerful. So any kind of negativity or challenges that you might have had pre-menstruum or during menstruation, where you might have been like, oh, I'm really angry about this person, I'm really resentful, why is this always happening? Well, those insights you can really pull out now, and you can have a conversation from a really grounded, supportive place and say, listen, these things need to change, or I need a pay rise, or I need whatever it is that we kind of work with. This is such a good time to really come from a very grounded, Kapha-like place and express ourselves from, grounded, secure, loving place. So why we're not like that all the time? Well, everything we do change, obviously, and that's a good thing. Just like we're not awake 24 hours a day, we need to sleep and we need to rest and we need to rejuvenate. So after our ovulation, and if pregnancy hasn't occurred, then we come into this different cycle, the cycle of starting to release. So there's still that build up, because in case there's a pregnancy, we still want a little bit of that Kapha-like or estrogen to hold that pregnancy. And I'm going to talk energetically. Pregnancy as well could be the potential we have. We're all pregnant with potential. So on that energetic level too. But after a while, there's a shift. And I'm in my feminine cycle and seasons course. I also work hormones, Ayurveda, but also from the seasons. And I love Red School's idea of everything is in 4 seasons. So if we think of ovulation as summertime, when we are confident, outgoing, we have plenty of energy, the sun is shining, then it does become autumn. And autumn, we start to go more inwards. And it's not like the whole premenstrual time after ovulation is like that. It changes from ovulation moves, then there's a shift, and then you come into that autumn time. And this is a time where we prepare for hibernation. It is a seasonal change. And like autumn can be very erratic, the wind is moving and it's cold one day, it's hot one day. Our hormones are changing again quite significantly. And on an Ayurvedic perspective as well, there's a big shift around ovulation. So this is a time when we start to have that truth telling. This is, when premenstrual time is not always a time that is talked about very positively, but in fact, we can shift it around and go, okay, now it's time to take stock. I've been outgoing, doing all these things. Now it's time to take stock of what's actually going on. If we have been overdoing it in spring and summer, this is where it will manifest. So it's a time when we really go inwards and say, okay, now what do I want to do? So if you have a lot of pitta or fire in your body, so progesterone can start to release that heat as well, just like pitta dosha. You might start to feel anger, you might start to feel resentment, you might be just hot and bothered, irritated. And these are all valid emotions. And this is a time where sometimes we need to use that. We do need to, if we are all happy and everything's fine, then sometimes we need to get that anger out and we need to release it. So this can be the time to do that if it's appropriate. If you're overcome with these feelings, something is not quite balanced, and it can be a hormonal thing, and it's a good thing to get hormonal support for that, whether it's chemically produced drugs or herbs. But otherwise, it is that time of going, okay, so what have I overdone? What is it that I'm not expressing? And you go and you look at that in your life. And again, just from lifestyle, from an Ayurvedic perspective, you can look at where is that heat arising from? What has happened? And we try to balance that. And it might even just be through a yoga practice, a meditation practice. You get that energy moving in through your body and out, and it's released. And then we do get our menstruation. And menstruation we can think of is the winter time. From an Ayurvedic perspective, winter is actually where we increase Kapha, but in the menstrual cycle, this is better time because menstruation is initiated by Apana Vayu, which is a downward movement of prana, and prana or Vata dosha, the element of air and space, is situated in the pelvis. So when we start to look at it from that perspective, we need to support that energy so we have that release. And to support Vata dosha, it's generally us needing to calm down, slow down, and rest. So this is such a wonderful time to do exactly that, to journal, to dream, to just be. Because how often are we allowing ourselves just to be and to rest? So when we have all these different facets of our cycle, from a Western perspective, hormonal perspective, from the Ayurvedic perspective, and in the Feminine Cycles and Seasons course, I talk a lot about Ayurveda. So I have about 5 hours of lectures, but it's all written down as well. And when we understand the Ayurvedic principles around our cycle, we can support that in our daily life as well. And that's why I love Ayurveda so much, because the principles are simple. That can get quite complicated, but in general, the principles are simple. And when we understand that, we can really work with it. It just makes sense. Even if you don't really believe in all of that, you can correlate it to Western science as well, if that's kind of where you're coming from. And then we can start to think about, how do we work with this in our daily life? How do we harness these powers, even in our exercise regime? So I come from a yoga perspective. I'm a yoga teacher, so I'm talking about yoga practices, but you can obviously translate that to whatever exercise you do. And we have, I think, do I do 12 videos of yoga and meditation and breathing practices? So there's short sections that you can kind of mix together, and there is a 20-minute sequence for each part of your cycle. So 4 of these 20-minute videos, but also like the sun salutation, the lunar salutation, some smaller sequences that or smaller sections you can add in to create a more of a longer session, if you like. Maybe you just want like 5 minutes of stretching your lower back because it's painful at your period. So yes, so that's it. I could go on talking about this, which is why I created the course, obviously. But if you're interested in the course, it is on the website yogaembodiedonline.com. So yogaembodiedonline.com. And until the 14th of September, you have a 20% discount on the online courses. So there's a code saying September 20, and if you add that in, you will get that discount. There's a workbook. I haven't actually printed the workbook out with me here, but one of the things that's in the workbook is how to track your cycle. So I kind of like the circular shape. But there's also more linear shape if you prefer to write notes, but I give you different variations of that as well. So if you have questions about menstrual cycle awareness, Ayurveda, yoga, how it all works together, then comment on in the comment box or send me a message, because it is a big subject, and I know sometimes, I like to go in deep and work with the Ayurvedic perspective, and I know for some of us that's new and we don't really know much about it. So if you do have questions, please put it in the comment box, and I can do some more lives and share with you so reflect on your questions. So that's it for now. So thank you so much for watching. And yeah, the Feminine Cycle and Seasons course is up and ready for you to join. It is self-paced, so you just join and it's there, and you can drop in and out, take as long as you like to do it. And obviously the yoga classes are there anyway, so you can enjoy them. Yeah, so yogaembodiedonline.com. Thank you for watching. Thank you. Bye.